Hello Suets fans and welcome to Common Heroes Gamecast. I'll be your host ArmyKG, and today we venture once again into the land of the Balance Beta Paths with a game featuring an opposing front's army, namely the Panzer Elite, against the vanilla Common Heroes army, and most probably you already have guessed it's the US or the Americans. The players involved in today's match will be TheDuuude or Budweiss, playing as the Panzer Elite. He's has been around for a while. He's a resident senior referee on GameReplays.org, and he's a solid player overall. His opponent will be WOHISENS. Now that WH is of course an identifier for a clan, Warriors of Honor. This particular clan has been around for quite a while. Sens seems to be a 2v2 player for the most part. However, he is also an accomplished 1v1 player holding level 16 and 15 with the US and the Wehrmacht army respectively on the ladder. So I expect nothing short of a very good play by either of these gamers. And without further ado, let's go into the game. We are at the 5-second mark and we'll be unpausing in 3, 2, 1, go. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So, after the usual countdown, let's see what the player's up to do for those early moments of the game. Sen seems to be building his barracks to the west portion of his base, something that may be an indication that he will be favoring the west portion of the map rather heavily, instead, of course, for the east portion of the map. However, that actually may prove to be quite good for the opening that the B player opted for, since he has sent his Kettenkrad capping the medium fuel point to the east of his base without capping the munition sector first, and that Kettenkrad even makes a move even to the south, so he will be most probably capping the medium fuel point there as well. So early play by the B player favoring the fuel income, which is nothing short of surprising, since the P army rather heavily relies on light armor vehicles, and fuel is of course one of the most important ingredients for that unit mix. Two PGrens squads out, moving towards the medium fuel point there as well. Most probably will be used to fend off any attempt at harassment by the US player. And they meet up with a squad of engineers that actually retreat immediately, and I would say that the goal of the B player to hold that early fuel income and avoid being harassed by the American player is actually successful. So now we must we should wait and see what the American player is going to be responding with. He seems to be a little bit afraid to move in with his rifleman squad against those PGrens. There is even a third squad of Panzer Grenadiers out now by the B player, so 3 Panzer Grenadiers are going to be more than enough to deal with a single rifleman squad, and that's exactly what we see here. Just the American player just peeking near the vicinity of the central victory point and seeing those Gewehr 43 upgraded PGrens and just backing off. He seems to be relying on capping the munitions points, so that's rather weird. It may mean that his early armored vehicle or taking maybe a little bit delayed. Because of that, he just only now sends his first engineer squad to the westmost fuel point to cap that, and he does not hold any other fuel point on the map except for the low fuel point to the west of his base. So that may be a thing that of concern for him. Second squad of riflemen is out and makes a move towards the center of the map, complementing their brethren there. However, there's a strong P players infantry presence on the field. Those 3 PGrens squads seem to be moving together, so it's a very safe thing to do. You do not want to split your PE infantry at the early moments of the game, since that will make them even more susceptible to attacks by equal squads of American infantry. However, we see here the American player actually stalling with his first rifleman squad, giving the opportunity to his second rifleman squad to move for the cutoff of the P player outside of his base. So that was a pretty good move by the American player. Of course, had he stayed in that building, he would have eventually lost to those 3 PGrens squads. But that was of course not his goal. His goal was just to delay those PGrens squads and get the cutoff, which he did successfully. And now we even see the P player not even attempting to cap that particular strategic sector with his PGren. He just uses his Kettengrad to do so, which may delay his income a little bit, but will give his PGrens the ability to move towards the American player's infantry and put any pressure that they can on them. However, I failed to mention that the second engineer squad was just went back into the American player's base and built a WSC after the second rifle hit the field, which is something that you do not usually see, specifically because of the fact that 2 rifleman squads are really not enough to take on a lot of PGren squads. However, that particular sniper will complement the American force rather nicely. However, it still remains to be seen how the American player is going to deal with the armored car that comes out of the Panzerjäger command of the P player. And that armored car is quite fast. We are currently at the 5 minute 30 second 31 32. So the American player does not really have any mortar pool put down. He does not even actually he just now started building his supply yard. So that armor card, whenever it hits the field, it will be quite powerful, and those riflemen will have to make use of cover to actually try to stall the armor car as much as they can. And I wouldn't be surprised if I saw some some mines being laid down by the American player to the entrance of his base in order to fend off a potential armor car drive-by that could actually prove to be rather detrimental to the American player's manpower situation. However, even if the armor card does not do that exactly, it was quite enough to force a full retreat on the American infantry, and that of course will give the Panzer Elite player the opportunity to take back a good portion of the map. We even have the first mines being laid down by those engineers to the west, covering the road. That particular path, yeah, well, actually he covered both the road and the entrance behind the hedges, so he's probably safe there. He will have that fuel income in his hands for quite a while, since he will be able to deal with the possibility of the armor car just driving through there and supporting PGren squads trying to dig up the particular sectors. Second armor card for the B player, and 2 armor cars against just 2 squads of riflemen. That is trouble. However, the motor pool has gone up. We did not witness any armored car drive-by, so that meant that the engineers were safe trying to build the motor pool. It also means that the riflemen did not took unnecessary manpower, damage just by being in their base. We actually did not have mines laid to the east entrance of the American player's base, which means that the B player may have been able to do a lot of damage there. However, he did not opt to do that. He played safe, so he didn't take the risk, and that's not really bad, but sometimes risks pay off. In any case, Kettengrad decapping the high munition sector. We see the American player really being passive at this moment, and frankly there's nothing that he can actually do with just a couple of rifle squads, a sniper and 2 engineers. He just waits for his armor car to come out of the motor pool, And it just did. The M8 armor card is on the field. It will most probably get upgraded with the armor scarce, at least, or even the gunner, should the munition situation of the American player allow it. And we now see the bulk of the B player's forces having set camp in the west portion of the map. However, the armor car makes its presence felt, and those PE armor cars will have to get out of the way rather than soon. One of them may even go down actually. However, the shots from the M8 missed, and we do have a light 80 half track on the field, so the P player actually took his time to build up his rather the best thing that he could do against an armor car, which of course was an obvious response by the American player against two armor cars of his own. We even have veterancy on one of the armor cars. The P player opts to give that to defensive, so those armor cars will be even deadlier. And now we have an AT gun on the field, so that combination, meaning the M8 and the AT gun, are more than enough to handle a single light AT half track, even if the light AT half track uses its ability to dread break the American M8. It won't be able to continue firing on it and killing it, since that AT gun will make quick work of that light AT half track. And the support of the sniper for the American player and the couple of his rifle squads will be more than enough to fend off any PGrens that attempt to go and take on that AT gun. Nice move by those two PE armor cars moving to the east and picking off those engineers. However, they are now in range of the AT gun and they do not seem to be moving. However, the second shot from the AT gun misses, and that armor card is a lot luckier than any squad of American infantry up to now. Veterans level 1 for the American sniper, but he is not retreating in time. And two MP44 equipped, or STG 44 equipped PGren squads take out the sniper on the retreat. And that's one of the ways that you can deal with snipers and AT guns. You can either use a combination of a cloaked Kettenkrad and armored vehicle of your own to take out the sniper, or just bum rush them with PGrens. And that's exactly what the P player did. He took out the sniper, he decrewed the AT gun, and now his light AT half track may have a bit of a chance on the field. However, there's a second M8 out for the American player, and two M8s against a single light AT half track is not going to work. However, the American player situation is not really good either. He just has those two rifleman squads, really not that much of an infantry presence on the field, and if he opts to go for a heavy light armor play, he will eventually be at a disadvantage, because the P player will just field more light AT half tracks, and two light AT half tracks may be enough to take out two M8s, believe it or not. For the time being, we just have Threadbreaker used on one of the M8s. The second M8 is nowhere to be found, just makes a move now towards the position of the light AT half track. Second light AT half track is on the field, however, it'll take a while for it to reach the front of the battle. However, one of the American players' armor car goes down. Second light AT half track will use its Threadbreaker ability on the second M8, and now it will be a close fight. However, one of the light AT half track of the P player goes down to the second M8. However, I'm pretty sure any P player will take that exchange any day of the week. Two M8s for one light AT half track is really something that you could actually wish for and you would never get. An interesting choice by the P player, getting a forward HQ and opting to use the stone house to the east portion of the map to do so. He will of course be able to reinforce from that location, or even field some more PGrens, and now his Cloud Kitten has even spotted the second sniper out for the American player, the one that he actually built after he lost his first one. However, 3 STG-44 equipped PGren squads, I'm pretty sure they will just try to bum rush the sniper and the AT gun once again. However, there are now some flamers in the mix and the nearby squad of riflemen, so that may actually not prove to be effective for the PE player. His Luftwaffe squad is not really active. They should be repairing his second armored car, so a bit of a slip of micro there by the PE player, but nothing to be really wary about. However, he does have a downtime on his second AC that most probably does not really want to happen. PGrens hitting a mine. They were trying to actually decrew the AT gun of the American player. They are not actually successful at doing so because of that particular mine. Nice mine placement there by the American player. He still has his mines in the west portion of the map. He has even built some tank traps there guarding the medium, the high munition point. Yeah, so the American player seems to have the west portion of the map kind of locked down with static defenses, and he seems to be focusing in the east where the fight actually is. He even just laid down some more mines by the road to the south of the stone house. He may even be able to decap the forward HQ, but I don't think it will be happening since those ACs have been repaired and move in position. However, the P player has to take account of the fact that there's at least one AT gun out and one M8 out on the field for the American player. We are currently at the 50-minute, 43, 44, 45, 46 second mark, and from this point onwards, either player needs to play a bit safe. The American player, of course, is fearing for his M8 and a thread breaker being used on it by the light 80 half-track. The P player, on the other hand, needs to find a way to deal with the American sniper and the AT gun, since the AT gun is the biggest of his worries as far as his light vehicle army is concerned, and the sniper is the biggest of his worries as far as his PGren standing is concerned. P player actually attempting a harassment in the west portion of the map, and the American player responds with nothing short of a squad of actually the Kettengrad went down. It was spotted by mines or something like that. Kettengrad goes down. P player takes the cutoff. Takes the decap on the westmost medium fuel point of the American player. However, the American player responds with a mate of his own, and those engineers are dealt with those 2 armored cars. We even have a Mortar 3 tank hunters on the field, so that actually is going to be a deadly combination for the American M8. A thread breaker being used on the M8, and the Mortar finishing off the M8. Not good for the M8 at all. Increased squad members have come into play for the PE player. He now has 4 men on each of his PGren squads, and he attempted to bomb rush the American player, the position of the American player in the east. However, there are a lot of mines there, so he may, the P player that is, he will take some manpower